let food be their medicine and let their medicine be food. This is a very important quote by one of the great philosophers and men of all time, Hippocrates. This quote reminds us that whatever we put on our plate has the power to heal, prevent, and to restore balance in our bodies. But for someone with diabetes, especially type 2, each meal is not just a nourishment, but it's a step towards good health. Every time you eat or drink, you're either feeding a disease or fighting it. So this goes back to the constant and small decisions we make every day while planning what to eat and the amounts to consume. A healthy diet isn't just a temporary fix, but a commitment to living a better life. Good morning. My name is Mr. Selfcare, and I welcome you to yet another important and thoughtful and information-packed episode. Today, we want to talk about diet in diabetic patients. This video is for someone who has been diagnosed with diabetes 2. This video is someone who is worried about becoming diabetic. This video is for someone who wants to control or prevent themselves from getting into diabetic levels. And in our studio, we are joined by a very knowledgeable professional nutritionist with almost a decade of experience in doing this, helping people cope up with dietary requirements, helping patients, especially those that have been diagnosed with diabetes, live longer and healthy and productive within their society. I welcome you. But before we dive into this well thought and important discussion, if you're here and you've not yet subscribed, or if you're here and you're a first-time viewer, I kindly ask you to subscribe. And that after subscribing, please forward and share the video with everyone that may benefit from it.
My name is
First of all,
Christopher, Greek
yes.
thinker, and I'm a nutritionist. I've served in this profession for 7 years almost. Yeah, 7 years. This is the 8th year. And I've worked in different perspectives, held in hospitals and also in emergencies, supporting different forms of clients.
Well, let's start here. Christopher, what's diet?
So diet is amount of food eaten by a human being or any living organism for different reasons. Some people eat to add weight, some people eat to live, but some other people eat to maintain their level they are on. But some other people eat to prevent diseases. So that is the amount of food eaten in layman's language for someone for different reasons, either to live or to add weight to achieve their objective.
So what's a balanced diet then?
So a balanced diet is a diet that has different forms of different classes of food that is eaten for over a long time.
Okay. So we have some people that eat huge sums of food, but they're not eating a balanced diet, right?
Exactly.
So what is diabetes then? And what does it mean to be diabetic?
So diabetes is the body losing control over the regulation of the blood sugars in your body. And the hormone that is responsible is insulin. If insulin is not accessing the blood sugars in your body, blood sugars increases up to abnormal, and then that is diabetes.
How do we get these sugars? How do we get this sugar build up that our bodies can no longer take control them?
So when we eat food, we get sugar from the food, which is glucose.
Yep.
So when the sugars are more in the body, some are excess. So the body cannot access them, cannot utilize all of them, because a body needs sugar for it to function. So, but when the body gets a lot of sugars, it uses some and leaves some.
So we eat food, the body takes off what it needs to take off, and the rest is converted in sugar. Is that
And
what you
leaves
mean?
what you cannot manage to take.
Okay. So then what happens to this excess sugar?
So some excess sugars are deposited, like we find many people who are fat, especially in the sides of the lips. That sugar is turned into adipose sugars, and that is excess fat, which is stored in the extracellular of the body. So that's when you see someone is overweight, is obese, because those are the excess sugars that are turned into adipose fat.
Okay. So going back into our discussion, how do I know that I'm now diabetic?
There are some risk factors, especially if they may be from your lineage. You have people who are diabetic. Then also when you overweight, I mean you have the more weight than your height. Then also when you're obese, meaning you more than overweight. Yeah. Then also, how do you know that when you get more frequent urination than usual, you're feeling fatigue and you're getting tired very fast? And also you're losing weight than you expect when it's not intended.
Okay. So how do we get to know that someone is diabetic? Are there specific laboratory tests that we take, or there are signs and
Yes, yes,
symptoms that
yes.
we look at?
That you're diabetic, you do random blood sugar, which is mainly you can do on fasting, and also you cannot do it on fasting. But when you get 7.6 millimoles per liter, it means that you above the normal sugars. Now you're getting into diabetic section.
Okay. We normally see people that are doing this random blood sugar checking before a meal and after a meal. Can you explain to us the relevance of this? Why do we have to take before eating and after eating before we confirm that someone is diabetic or non-diabetic?
So before a meal, it's called the fasting blood sugar. And it's not actually the accurate, because it gives you the real actual blood sugar you have in your bloodstream. But after a meal, there are some blood sugar that comes from the food you've eaten just. So that one will not give you the actual blood sugar you have in your bloodstream. So the recommended one is fasting blood sugar test.
Do we have instances where, for example, you check me and my blood sugar levels are higher than normal, than the values you've stated, but then after some time I go back and my values go back to normal? Do we have such cases?
Yeah, yes, it's there. Especially if you test in the morning, mainly the blood sugars are low, because you believe you've not been eating the whole night. So the blood sugar is less. Then, but when you eat, let's say when you test after lunch, the blood sugars are going to be more. But also, let's say when you're a diabetic patient and you're following the instructions and you're taking your medicine very well, your blood sugar is expected to keep on reducing if you're following instructions from the health workers.
Okay. So, Christopher,
Yeah.
do we have people that have, after taking medicine religiously and as instructed by health personnel, do we have people that have completely been healed from diabetes after it was
Yeah,
confirmed?
they actually, yes, actually have, I had a client.
Yes.
I was working with my colleague for her was working on medicine part, and me, I was working on dietary section.
Yes.
But this guy, one time he sent me a message and said, Christopher, I don't have diabetes.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you follow the instructions very well, and also when you start treating in early stages of diabetes, you manage it than starting late. So that's why we normally say you have to know your blood sugar status. You have to know your blood sugars, not waiting when it has escalated, then you start going to the hospital.
Okay. What are some of the What are the types of diabetes that we have in Uganda so far?
So we have mainly two diabetes, mainly two, and
Yes.
one is type 1 diabetes,
Yes.
which is normally affects children.
Okay.
This one, they believe that they are born with it.
Okay.
Then we have type 2 diabetes,
Mm.
which is called adult diabetes.
Mm.
You get it because of your lifestyle.
Mm.
Then we have gestation diabetes,
Mm.
which is which affects pregnant mothers.
Mm. So many times when our family members or when our friends are diagnosed with diabetes, the biggest issue that we normally face is around nutrition because they are suffering from high blood sugar levels, and yet we know all the food that we eat has some amount of sugars in them. We find a problem looking after these people. Sometimes they leave hospitals when they are fine. When they get
Yeah.
back home, because of what we feed them, the sugar levels shoot up and actually they start to react or to show some signs and symptoms that are very scaring. Take us through the diet or the nutritional part of taking care of uh, a diabetic patient. What are they supposed to eat? What are they supposed not to eat?
Thank you very
And
much. But I think
yes,
before I go on what we are supposed to eat, I
yes,
want to side with diabetic patients.
yes,
They really suffer because of their disease, but not because of their disease, but because of the information they get from every person who works either in the hospital, even those ones who don't work in the hospital.
yes,
They are normally told you avoid this, avoid this, avoid this, avoid this. And at the end of the day, every food is going to be avoided.
mm,
So when you go on avoid this, avoid this, avoid this, me, I normally tell my patients,
mm,
take this in moderation.
mm,
So for clients who have diabetes, we normally tell them to focus on, we have a diabetic plate of which a quarter is carbohydrate, a
mm,
quarter is a protein food, and also
mm,
a half of it is non-starchy foods. Those are vegetables and fruits.
mm,
Then also, when you talk about fruits, because fruits are good sources of sugar, we normally
yes,
tell them to eat the form they eat vegetables. I mean, fruits should be different. You shouldn't take juice we shouldn't take a lot of juice when you're a diabetic patient. It's better you take fruits than juice because juice releases more sugar in the body very fast than taking a fruit that is will reduce sugar. I mean, will reduce sugar into the bloodstream slowly, slowly. So when you talk about carbohydrates, which is a quarter of the plate, we tell them to focus on whole grains and the tubers. Tubers, I mean the cassava, the sweet potatoes, and the Irish. Then also the matoke, which is not a tuber, but also not to focus on patient. We normally divide the plate into three parts.
yes,
And one part is the carbohydrate, which is a quarter of the plate.
mm,
Then another quarter of the plate is a protein food.
mm.
And another half of the plate is non-starchy foods. Those are
Oh,
vegetables and fruits.
okay, okay. Um, Let us start with when you say carbohydrates. Our viewers, some of them do not understand. What do you mean by carbohydrates? And
Yes,
what are
carbohydrates in layman's language or in simple understanding is
yes,
energy giving food. The food you eat and feel like tomorrow I'll go and finish this task.
yes. So
So
what are
for
some
diabetic
of the
patient,
mm,
for diabetic patient, we tell them to focus on whole grains. Whole grains, I mean the wheat, the sorghum, the unpolished rice, the millet, unpolished millet. Yeah. Then on tubers, we focus on, let's say, sweet potatoes,
mm,
Irish potatoes, the cassavas. and other and even matoke. Matoke is a good food for someone who has diabetes, as long as you don't take it in excess.
Okay, so that is carbohydrates. And
Yes.
what about proteins? What are we looking at when we what are proteins?
So protein, these are bodybuilding foods, the food you eat and you feel like you're being built. Like, especially I normally say this in children, that the food you eat and see your child is growing very well, because diabetic patients also we want their bodies to remain built. We don't want to get them to be emaciated. So for diabetic patients, we tell them to focus on lean protein. Lean protein, I mean avoiding red meat. If you eat red meat, you first smoke it and reduce the fat, defatting it. Then you focus on rabbit meat, chicken. You focus on eggs. You focus on skimmed milk. Skimmed milk, I mean you remove the fat on top, then you take the milk. Then also you focus on the nuts, so vegetables. We consider first the leafy vegetables, because those ones have at least some fibers. Leafy vegetables, you can consider cabbages, you can consider skuma wiki, you can consider the pumpkin leaves. As long as you get in the market and you say that this is a leaf that can be turned into a vegetable, it's being sold as a vegetable. Then also we have the root vegetables, the carrots. Then also we have the fruit vegetables, the tomatoes. We have the cucumbers. All those ones are vegetables.
So, Christopher, you earlier talked about eating, for example, a mango versus making mango juice. Can you throw more light? What is dangerous? What should a diabetic 2 patient eat? A mango from the market, I wash it, I eat it, or juice mango? And why?
So why, for us as nutritionists, we focus on, we normally encourage patients to eat a whole fruit. And why is because the glycemic index, the rate at which that food releases sugar into the body. So we tell them to eat fruits versus juice, because you're going to use a blender, or whatever machine to make a mango from a mango fruit to a juice. So meaning you're breaking the sugars in it, which they are going to be more accessible to the body than the other person who has eaten a mango that the body is going to blend in the stomach, releasing the sugar slowly to the body. So that's why you focus on fruits, because of high glycemic rate of the juice.
Okay. So let us talk about things like sugarcane. There are so many myths around some people saying, oh, diabetic patients cannot eat anything that is sweet, sugarcane, pineapple, other fruits you've talked about them. How true is this?
So remember when you were starting, I said the challenge diabetic patients get is different advice from different people. Because literally every food has sugar in it. But the rate at which it is releasing sugar is the one that differs. If I go to my garden or to the street of Kampala and I pick a sugar cane, I eat it the way it is. The sugar is good because the sugar is complex. So for it being complex, it's going to be released slowly. Than it's going to become like juice than getting the juice. So me, I normally tell them, eat them in moderation. If you used to eat a half of a pineapple, please now take a quarter, or you take a quarter or an eighth of a pineapple, because these sugars are needed in the body, even though you have a lot. So take a little that can sustain you, not taking more that is going to be excess and cause you challenges.
What are some of the foods that diabetic type 2 diabetic patients should not take? Which foods are so dangerous that they're supposed to stay away from?
So foods which are dangerous, especially when you go to carbohydrates, are the polished foods. For you in the morning, because you're rushing to work, you want to take noodles, you want to take spaghetti. Remember, spaghetti is a product of wheat. So the rate at which spaghetti is going to be digested and absorbed in the body is high. It's going to take a short time. So because it's going to take a short time, it's going to it's going to release the sugars in your body very fast. So when you test after taking spaghetti, it's going to be high sugars in your body. Another thing is porridge rice. Then also we have the drinks like sodas. Because soda, its sugars absorbed very fast. Soda is not digested. It's like water. So it's directly absorbed into the bloodstream. Then we have alcohol. Alcohol, it is made from, let's say, sorghum. It's made from cereal. And those are sugars which are already broken down. They are also not digested, but they are absorbed very fast into the bloodstream. Yeah. Then considering proteins, protein you normally avoid the fatty foods. If you're going to buy meat and for you want to get that meat that has a lot of fat, you're killing yourself. Especially for those ones who do pork. It's because pork militarily is always fatty. Then you want to buy food that is already processed, like noodles, chicken noodles. As long as you cook chicken noodles immediately, you eat it at 8 and at 9 you're feeling hungry. Where do you think it has gone? Meaning it has already been worked on already. So the fatty foods, the processed proteins, those ones are dangerous for someone who has diabetes.
Okay. So let's talk about bread. There has also been a confusion of if diabetic patients should eat bread or not eat. And then there is also what we call now bread made out of wheat and other bread safe for diabetic patients.
Yeah, bread is safe for diabetic patient, but which bread? I know I talked about the brown bread and white bread. Brown bread is the bread that is made from unpolished wheat. The one you see and has something like dust is not fine on top.
Yes.
Then you have the white bread, which is fine and smooth. That is the white bread. So what is recommended, or what as nutritionists recommend brown bread, because that is a complex sugar. It's going to take long to be released in the body.
Okay. So lastly, can you shed or paint a picture, if there is someone watching right now, how would a breakfast, type of breakfast, lunch or dinner should a diabetic patient have, and what is the suitable time for them to have these meals?
Okay. So for patients with diabetes, especially for breakfast, I can recommend a millet porridge, just a 250 ml of millet porridge. I can recommend a half egg. I mean, one egg, boiled egg. Then I can recommend a fruit like an apple. I can recommend like an apple or salad of vegetables. That is a breakfast. And I normally tell people to eat around between 8 to 9. You take your breakfast. Then in between 8 to 9 towards lunch, you eat a snack, which should be a fruit. Then during lunchtime, you take your food from the choice of the whole grain. Let's say whole grain, and now today you can eat posho, which is not number one. Then you add a sweet potato to make a quarter of the plate. Then you can put some beans on a plate with one piece of meat. Then the other half of the plate, you put vegetables. You can be salads or salted vegetables, the way you've cooked them, as long as they are not soaked in oil.
Okay, doctor. As we're about to conclude, talk about salt? Is salt good for
Yes,
diabetic patients? Salt, omunyu, this raw salt that we.
salt, we normally say low salt is not recommended. Don't add, because most
Uh,
people feel
mm,
thirsty. A diabetic patient, most of them feel thirsty. And that is why they feel thirsty, is salt is pulling water from the blood, from the body cells. So that's why they feel thirsty. So the more salt you take is the more thirsty you're going to feel. So low salt, I don't recommend it.
okay. So, what is the role of a nutritionist in the management of diabetic patients?
So the role of a nutritionist in management of diabetic patients, normally diabetes comes from the diet,
Yes.
the lifestyle. So we need
Yes.
those people to advise patients on what they are going to eat. Medicine alone cannot treat you.
Okay.
So that's why, especially in non-communicable disease clinics, a nutritionist is very much important in managing these conditions.
Okay. So, what are your last remarks to all the patients that have been diagnosed with diabetes type 2? And as a nutritionist, what could be your closing remarks to anyone there that has been diagnosed with diabetes type 2?
I want to tell them that I want to assure them hope, as long as they follow instructions from the health workers, they will manage their condition, but also to continue preparing meals early, not going for lunch abruptly, or it has reached lunchtime and you're feeling something, you want something to eat. If you're not prepared, you run into a junk food, which is going to increase your blood sugar. Then also take a lot of fluids, especially before meals. The more you eat, the more you take fluid, let's say water, before meal, you'll feel satisfied very fast.
Okay.
Then also they should avoid, let's limit on alcohol. Let's avoid an alcohol, because alcohol will continue increasing their blood sugar. Then also they should consider the plate they use. If you're going to eat food and you use a big plate, the food is going to look less on a big plate, whereas the food is going to look more on a small plate. So when you're choosing utensils to use while eating, choose the sizable plate, not a big plate, because the more you use a big plate, is the more food you're going to serve. So let's be cautious on the utensils you use while eating food.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Lastly, what could be the effect of smoking to diabetic patients and their management?
So when you're diabetic, you already have a body compromise. So when you add in smoking, which is going to be a burden to some body parts like the lungs, it's another burden. So for your body is going to not to fight only diabetes, but also is going to fight the cancer things. You may also get cancer. On top of getting cancer, your immune is going down. Tomorrow you get cancer. Tomorrow TB may come into your body. So your immunity is totally compromised. So when it's totally compromised, you're totally down. The body cannot defend anything that is coming into itself.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christopher, for accepting to be on our episode of One-on-One with an Expert. As you conclude again, lastly, what have you done as the nutritionist or society in Uganda to make sure you educate the public about nutrition because a big percentage of people are diabetic already. They really need this. From the discussion we've had, actually, you painted a picture that the progress of a diabetic patient actually has more to do with the discipline they have around food. This requires basically some level of education that cannot
Yeah.
come from other professionals apart from nutritionists or dietitians. In other countries, managing a patient, the moment a patient is admitted, a nutritionist is attached, just like they will attach a nurse or another a special or specialist. What have we done in Uganda as a sort of nutritionists to make sure our public gets this information? On radios, what have you done as a society of nutritionists?
So yes, Uganda, I think, realized the role of a nutritionist not around 10 years back or 15 years back, because they started around 2014. And 2004. And after this, nutritionists came together and made a society. So we now have a society. But I think I want to implore the government of Uganda. It has taken some levels. Like when you go to regional referral hospital, you'll find nutritionists. Yes, they are 2 or 1, but they are working. Then when you go to a district hospital, you'll also find a nutritionist.
Okay.
Then also, like for us nutritionists, you normally have Twitter spaces. When we get opportunity, when there's an activity that is in the community, we normally do outreaches through giving health education. That is awareness.
Okay.
So for now, I think nutrition now has been registered under Ride Health, and now we have nutrition in the hospitals. And we believe these nutritionists are going to, the government is going to keep on employing more and allocating different nutritionists, different hospitals to manage NCDs, because NCDs has become a challenge in Uganda.
Thank you so much, Christopher. And I thank you so much again for accepting to come and teach here. And back to your Society of Nutritionists, this space is always open. Each time you have something to pass on to the public, I'm a call away. And I'll be able to pass out the information to all Ugandans that need it. Thank you so much, and have yourself a blessed day. May God bless you. We shall again have you in September on Mr. Self-Care Live on a Sunday to continue with this important discussion. To the rest of the viewers today, it's not about perfect, but it's about efforts. And when you bring every effort every single day, that's where transformation happens. Managing type 2 diabetes does not mean never enjoying your favorite foods. It means controlling the portions, balancing that plate, and making small adjustments every single day. Being diagnosed with diabetes is not a death sentence. It simply requires you to be a little extra with whatever you eat or put inside your mouth. My name is Mr. Self-Care. Again, I want to thank you for watching. Let's meet tomorrow morning for another episode of One on One with an Expert. Have yourself a blessed day.